Oh my goodness. Whoa! It's him! It's Lang! Lang, no! But who is he with? I've never seen that officer before. So, did you find it? No, not yet. And I've looked everywhere. I see. Well then, please continue with the search. Understood. I'll continue the search. Wow. So you're the one running the show. Prosecutors like you shouldn't even be allowed at crime scenes. How dare you? Just who do you think you are? Wow. Lang really changed up his aesthetic. What was that all about? And who was that man just now? Whoever he was, I've never seen a more impudent officer in my life. Does he even know that we're standing right here behind him? I know you're standing right behind me. But what do you want, kids? It looks like you were paying attention after all. Of course I was. I have eyes in the back of my head. So the mirror isn't for vanity's sake. It's for him to keep an eye out on who or what is behind him at all times. Don't tell me, Detective Bad. Who was that rude man just now? The guy came here from the Republic of Shangfa to study. He's Agent Lang. He's trying everything he can to revive the lost honor of his family. He's traveling the world to study different philosophies of detainment from scratch, and yet he still ended up like just constantly using his family's philosophy. Okay. By visiting various police departments around the world. He has a lot of dedication. Edgeworth totally copied that. Like, that was how we met him. He was like, yes, I just came back from studying different lawyers. He's still just a rookie cop, but I sense a strong grudge of some sort from him. The guy's more useful than Gumshoe. No, he's not. Even if he is rude, I won't believe it. Well, he sure has a lot of guts to come to this country and give prosecutors a hard time. I agree. However, I can think of one young lady that statement also applies to. Anyway, what was that agent looking for, Detective Bad? Earlier, that little girl was poking around in lobby number 1 as well. Like I said before, it's got nothing to do with the two of you. Humph. No, I highly doubt it has nothing to do with me. My ego makes sure of it. Humph. Fine, if that's the game I must play, then I will take this opportunity to draw out what he's been hiding and what happened in this room straight from him. Let me check out this window, please. The curtains are shut tight. The colors of those curtains are rather gloomy. For a place where people's lives are in the balance, they could have chosen a little something more cheery, you know. I know, however, I think the designer had more thoughts to think about than the lobbies. Well, as a Von Karma, I would afford any location related to the law extra attention to detail. A bit obsessive, aren't we? You're one to talk, Edgeworth. That is one tiny TV. Detective Gumshoe was rather shocked at this, and said it was huge compared to his own. Ha! Anything you compare to something he owns will always seem grandiose, because he's too poor. Speaking of grandiose, I'd say that ego of yours could use a little deflating. You're one to talk, Edgeworth. Alright, what am I supposed to be looking at? You must be tired, Francisca. Care to take a short break on that sofa? Surely you jest. Me? Sit on that tiny, dirty, disgusting thing? That detective said he could sleep all 25 hours of the day on this. 25 hours. Was this table here all along? I suppose so. Well, clearly, it's out of place. When you take the sofa into consideration, that table is just too tall. I get the impression that the two are not meant to be used as a set, Francisca. I knew that. Seems she's lost her calm sense of judgment in her eagerness to defeat me. Okay. Let me go into the other lobby. Let me in. Interesting. Yeah, see, these ones are open. Wonder why. Probably because it's trying to hide something from me. It may not look like much, but I find that ordinary tables like this one are very useful. I think it's time they bought a new one. I wonder if they will replace this table if I hit it with my new whip enough. A much too heavy-handed method if I ever saw one. I can see down into the courthouse courtyard from here. What is that mess supposed to be? It's like an optical illusion. I believe it's supposed to be postmodern in design. More like thoughtlessness in design. I can't disagree there. Oof, get wrecked. This television is the same model as the one in Defendant Lobby number 2. Looks like the two rooms are basically the same in terms of layout and supplies. Yes. The two rooms are basically the same, huh? So what's the difference? Caretakers of this courthouse don't think enough about plants, do they? That's because they're the courthouse caretakers, not a bunch of botanists. I could still smell the perfume, even with the window being left open to air out the room. Are you sure they didn't just forget to close the window, Miles? Yes, well, I hadn't thought of that. You've still got a long ways to go. If you think you're gonna best me, Miles Edgeworth. So, what is the difference between the two rooms? That's gonna be the secret we need. Let's see. Well, one, the window's open. Let me open the window. The curtains are shut tight. Yeah. Same amount of chairs. Oh, there's a little plant here. This decorative plant's foliage is quite nice. It's actually soothing to be around. Perhaps I should purchase one for my room. I don't really see any differences. Is there anything I could talk to him about? and multiple returns to a crime scene brings about success. That's what we detectives say. I see. In that case, you wouldn't mind if I asked about what happened again, correct? I don't have anything left to say to you, boy. Boy, you'll see. I will draw my answer from you one way or another. But would it kill you to help us even a tiny bit in our investigation? I gave Faraday's notebook to the judge earlier. That's help enough, don't you think? Please, we are asking you for just a bit more of your cooperation. Don't push me, kid. I'd like to ask you once again about what happened around here at the time of the crime. I refuse to answer. Any more investigating you do would be a waste of time. Besides, how am I supposed to answer questions about things I don't know about? Things you don't know about. But aren't you supposed to know everything? He should. Wait, is it possible? Maybe he doesn't know about the trick behind that piece of evidence. I should try showing it to him. It may prove to be the key to getting some answers from Detective Bad. Present the key! Detective Bad, did you know the existence of the item in this photograph? Of course I did. My job to know everything related to the Yatagarazu case. In that case, let me ask you something. Did you know that the knife that killed Mr. Faraday and the Yatagarazu's knife are one and the same? What? That's impossible. It looks like he didn't know after all. This piece of evidence, which we call the Yatagarazu's key, is actually a well-camouflaged knife. Mr. Faraday was planning to use this Yatagarazu's knife to prove that Mr. Rell was not the real Yatagarazu. Isn't that correct? I guess so. However, Mr. Faraday had no idea that it was, in fact, a knife. Yeah, you'll have to admit, neither one of us knew that fact. And if neither one of us knew, then no one in law enforcement knew either. How did we miss something as big as this? I noticed since a little while ago, you appear to be searching for something. I presume that this key is what you were searching for? Yeah, that's right. And why were you searching for it? Because I promised Faraday. I promised I'd protect that key with my life. But after he was killed, the key disappeared from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag. Who would have thought that the key is what took Faraday's life? Detective Bad, so that we may find the truth, please testify for once more. Alright. But it doesn't matter how many times I tell you about what happened. Nothing'll change. Tell me. Detective Bad, I ask that you please testify one more time about what happened in lobby number 2 and what you experienced in lobby number 1. My answer is still the same. And this is the last time I'm gonna do this. That's fine, because I only need this one last time to clear everything up and find the truth behind this case. Ooh, testimony time. Yeah, I was in lobby number 1, talking with you, What? No, I wasn't there. We were talking about some trivial things. I heard the gunshot right before the trial was about to reconvene. When we heard it, you and I immediately dashed down into the hallway together. Yeah, I saw Gumshoe goofing around there, and then we all ran into lobby number 2. It sounds like the exact same story he told us before. Indeed. However, I feel that we have yet to draw out all the information that we can. So what is something we can contradict? I was hoping you could expand on what exactly you were discussing with Miss Yu. The trivial stuff. It was nothing important. That's for me to decide. Dots. Dots. Alright, I suppose that's for him to decide. Moving on. Until you heard the gunshot, did you notice anything else that was out of the ordinary? I didn't hear any other strange sounds until that gunshot. If the gunshot Detective Bad heard was really the one from the murder, that would give the other piece of evidence an entirely different meaning. I ask that you please amend your testimony with that statement just now. Sure. So, what about then the, balloon? My balloon! Yeah. Balloons. Detective Bad, does this balloon fragment remind you of anything? Oh, I see what the problem is. They're saying that the gunshot we thought we heard is actually the balloon popping then, because he's saying he saw Gumshoe goofing off. So that implies that this is when Gumshoe is with Kay. So the implication then is that this is really when Gumshoe and Kay are goofing off. And the judge's gunshot was the correct one, I believe. Oh, so you knew about the girl's balloon? Yeah, I was sitting with her up in the gallery during the recess, just before we split up. I filled that balloon up for her. Well, as you may have already surmised, this piece did indeed come from Kay's balloon. So, what about the balloon? I wonder if you might remember hearing this balloon pop at some point. What are you getting at? This fragment was found right in the hallway, right in front of lobby number 2. Furthermore, it was the sound of this balloon popping that the judge mistook as a gunshot. Oh, so the sound that the judge heard was not actually a gunshot, huh? On top of that, his honor said that he heard the balloon pop about 20 minutes before the trial was to reconvene, which means that his honor heard the balloon pop in the hallway when you were in lobby number 1, Detective Bad. If you were in lobby number 1 at the time, you were close enough that you should have heard the balloon popping as well. So? What? Don't give me a so! We just proved that there was a flaw in your testimony. The crackling of the truth is louder than the sound of your sweet naivete cracking. Naivete. And since you kids don't seem to know something, Let me fill you in on something. Did you ever stop to think why the doors and walls of this place seem so rugged? That's because they were designed to keep secrets from being leaked. What is that supposed to mean? The doors and walls are super thick. The window panes are double layered. To top it all off, even the curtains are made of a special sound-absorbent material. Then, you mean... Since I was shut up inside lobby number 1, there was no way I could have heard that sound. No. I knew that's what he was going to say. Then that means that Scruff-Faced testimony is completely useless. If the rooms are soundproof, then of course he wouldn't hear any signs of a struggle. Nah. That's also why it's only natural that I didn't hear the balloon popping. Now do you get it, kids? Miles, I thought we were supposed to be the ones finding flaws in his logic. Not the other way around. The other way around. This is when he's gonna realize, he's gonna be like, wait a second. We thought that the gunshot was... We thought the gunshot was what the judge... was what they heard. What if the judge heard the gunshot? It's not possible to hear the sound of a balloon popping if one were in lobby number 1. However, if we examine this situation in reverse, a person standing in the hallway should not be able to hear the real gunshot either. And yet Detective Gumshoe claims to have heard it while he was standing in the hallway. Detective Bad, if that is the case, how exactly did you hear the gunshot? What do you mean how? I just did. It would appear maybe the gun was outside. That you have yet to realize the contradiction in your own words. Oh, how so? If the rooms are as soundproof as you say they are, then how did the sound of the gunshot enter your ears? I see what you mean. I guess I'm more out of it from Faraday's murder than I had thought. Which means what exactly, Miles? In the end, what does it all boil down to? It boils down to this. There must be a reason as to how Detective Bad and Gumshoe heard a gunshot they theoretically couldn't have. Hey, it looks like we need to examine the state of the crime scene again, huh? State of the crime scene. Wait, can it be... It's that ultra-strong perfume you wears. She spilled some of it. Probably spilled some of it on purpose to get him to open up the window. Wah! And way too noisy. Oh! Yeah, they were playing the video. The video of the guy getting murdered. The surveillance video? How could a piece of evidence just disappear? Where did it go to? Okay, that explains the second gunshot noise. Okay. Oh, it didn't connect yet. I know what I'm thinking. Okay, we'll start with the window and the dissipating smell. Showing that the two rooms have some connection. It's simply not possible for this killer to have escaped through barred windows. And yet, the fragrance of the perfume managed to escape from defendant lobby number 1. Of course, incorporeal things can move freely through these open, barred windows. Yes, that's how it works. I think I'm then going to say open windows and very loud TV, showing that sound can travel through them. and then finally make the connection that the sound was used to carry the gunshot noise from the video. Now then, what else besides the smell can go both in and out of an open barred window? The answer is sound. So no matter how careful the killer was, if the windows were open, the jig would be up. And since the windows in both defendant lobby number 1 and the hallway were open, that explains how the sound of a gunshot could be heard in both locations. Oh yeah. And now we're gonna connect these. Connect. Connected. Piece of evidence is a video, or the missing piece of evidence is a video, that shows the moment in which Mr. Rell killed the embassy staff member. The sound of the gunshot left quite an impression on me when it was played during the trial. The video should have been returned to Mr. Faraday's evidence bag for the recess. And brought back here. If it disappeared after that time, then it's possible the tape is still here in this room. Eureka! The evidence that the missing evidence created for me is the gunshot sound that no one should have been able to hear in the first place. Miles, what have you been thinking about? Stop wasting time thinking and let's start looking again. It's not a waste of time to think, for I've figured out where we should look. And where would that be? I believe we should examine the television. The TV. Well, you kids have fun. Go ahead and examine whatever you like. Let me see the TV. Open up your VHS thing that I would totally expect in the 2000s. It's a video player, and there seems to be a videotape inside. It looks like it. The tape must have stopped on its own when it reached the end. This tape. Could it not be the missing surveillance tape? I suppose, but... Detective Bad, would it be alright with you if I verified the contents of this video? Sure. Knock yourself out. But be warned, it might get demonetized. Alright, then let's rewind this and see what we have. If I remember correctly, the footage of Rell killing the embassy staff member should be at about the 30-minute mark from the start of the tape. Understood. This should be about right. Now then, let's see. Yeah, this is the footage of Mr. Rell shooting the embassy staff member. I knew it. The missing piece of evidence, the surveillance video, was here all along. I mean, we assume that's mackerel. I'm assuming we're gonna prove that's not true either. This sound. What's the meaning of this? It seems... It appears that Detective Bad has figured out the true source of the gunshot he heard. With this, I think we can figure out the trick behind this double murder. But do you mean that you figured it all out then? Yes, all I have to do now is show what the gunshot Detectives Bad and Gumshoe heard was. And through where they heard it from. Nah, fine. In that case, show me what you've deduced. Now to show what the... What do you mean deduce it? Just as with the spilled perfume in lobby number 1, if the windows were open, that piece of evidence sound would also dissipate out. So, do I have to deduce by connecting this to the video? Where's the video? Video. If the door and windows to the crime scene, namely this room that we're in, were closed, the killer could have used the gun, and no one would have been the wiser. That's true. This courtroom does seem to be well designed for such a thing, as it were. However, what happened in reality was Detective Gumshoe, Detective Bad, and Miss Yu. All three of them heard the gunshot. Well, the windows in lobby number 1, number 2, and the hallway were open. So naturally, the people in those locations could hear it. But then, why would the criminal open the window in the first place? To allow the gunshot to be heard, I suppose. Correct. That's the only logical conclusion we can draw from this. But why was that necessary in the first place? I want a real Miles answer, Miles. I demand satisfaction. Very well. I believe that the killer wanted to manipulate our perception of a certain fact. Well, when the murder took place. I have been saying this for so long that no way were they killed right then. The killer wanted to fabricate the time of death to their precise wishes, and they used the gunshot in the surveillance video to do so. So that's why the tape was left running. You mean, the gunshot I heard was from this video? Yes. Which means that the murders really occurred at an earlier time than we thought. Must have been during the recess, but before Detective Gumshoe was on guard duty. Someone who has no alibi for that time period. And planned this crime out in advance. That person is the real killer. Give me my health back. Need that health. Heyo, Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, what is it? Miss Yu is asking for you. She's in the courtroom. I'm about to show this lady, what happens when you mess with me. You become accused of murder. She said that she's identified the murderer, but that she wants to clarify something. Looks like Miss Yu is still investigating something. Understood. Please tell her that I will be right over. I'll come along. I want to hear what she has to say. It would appear that the time has come to uncover the truth. To be continued.